Hi, you are watching SightsIn Plus, and this is Romesh Bas. Please do subscribe the channel for the HR news, for HR updates, and conversation with the top-notch CHROs, thought leaders, and business heads. Today, we are going to dive deep the jobs and growth opportunities in the EV industry, electric vehicle industry, basically. Recently, we have seen a report by the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers. And according to this report, the India will need 2 lakh skilled workers by the 2030 in auto industry to meet the demand as the government has put the target of 30% electric vehicle adoption. One more report is there by the LinkedIn report 2023. And according to this report, the demand of green talent is outpacing supply. They have given the two numbers. One number is for the 2022, that was 12.33%, and in 2023, it has been 22.4%. So almost 10% increase in demand for the green skills. Another data is that average demand of EV skills rose 61% between 2018 to 2023. So based on this data, we will try to dive deep at how the job market is there with the EV industry, what are the growth opportunities with the EV industry, how the EV industry is performing right now. Joining us, Mr. Sumit Kumar is the Chief Strategy Officer at TeamLease Degree Apprentice. Ms. Monika Saxena is the Chief Strategy Officer at Revfin, and Mr. Karan Mehta is Venture Principal with the Green Frontier Capital. So welcome all of you. And Sumit, very first, I would like to come to you. How do you see this data? How do you analyze this data? I've given you 2, 3 figures. How do you see how is performing this EV industry? How do you see the job market? And what kind of the skills that would be in demand in next couple of years?
See, definitely the market is extremely hot. I think the way the whole focus has been towards the carbon neutrality, you see whether it's to do with green skills across different sectors, or specifically if you were to look at EV, because that's what is very much visible to us, and we see there's a larger consumer base for that particular product. Obviously, the potential is huge, and which kind of lays down the path that yes, there's going to be tremendous job growth as well in times to come. In fact, over the last couple of years, as you just stated, certain figures are also very, encouraging to say the kind of growth that we have seen specifically in the EV market, But I think in fact, there's another report that came in yesterday or day before yesterday where they said that about 2030, there are about 5 million jobs that's going to get created because of electronic vehicle. And these could be direct and indirect jobs both, right? So I think, yes, when all the reports, while whether we talk about 2 lakh people as of 2030 or versus the 5 million jobs 50 million jobs that we're expecting, by 2030. Definitely there's a variation, but you can see the kind of potential the segment has, because every report has been very positive and very gung-ho about this particular segment. But I think interestingly, what we also need to look at is that while there are potential jobs, which is both direct and indirect, we also need to factor in the kind of skilled workforce that would be required to do these jobs. So, and with the employability factor, which currently hovers about 50%, specifically if I were to look at from the graduate employability, and even if I were to look at any trained or a skilled person, the employability hovers around 40%, which means that the number of people that would be required, you can easily do it by into 2 or into 3 kind of thing to the number of jobs, because that's the kind of pipeline that we would need to do that job.
Very great inputs. Monika, if we look as a finance institution, so when we're looking for the adoption of the EV vehicle, so this is very important that easy financing should be there. If the easy financing is there, so we will see the more adoption of the electric vehicle in the market. How do you see what are the challenges in financing for the EV vehicles currently, and how do you see the job market and the EV industry, growth of EV industry currently?
Thanks, Ramesh, and I'll pick it up from what Sumit said. Whether the jobs will be 5 crores in by 2030 or whatever number is not so of relevance. What is important is let's look at a trend. Let me give you an example of Revfin. In last 6 years, and if you take 2 years of COVID out, in last 4 years, we have sold almost 67,000 vehicles. And what does that mean? 67,000 people are employed today. It's either employment generation or income generation, and their livelihood has completely changed. So from the maybe when they were earning few thousands to now they're owning that particular asset. The quality of life has changed. And I'm not even talking about the employee base which is there in our organization and everywhere else. So when we talk about EV, the job market is certainly going to increase tremendously. And when I say 67,000, I'm not counting all those numbers which are there with our OEMs, with our dealer, with servicing centers. So one organization, Revfin, maybe is adding to almost over 3 lakhs of employees in last 3 to 4 years. That number speaks a lot for itself. And when we talk about adoption, I could talk about Revfin and maybe many other organizations. As an NBFC, we are focusing more on making financing available to underserved. So when we talk about Revfin, 85% of our customers are people who never had civil before, they never had banking history. But why are we able to get them? Because we have a great underwriting. So it is all about how organizations today are coming up with unique solutioning where underwriting is very strong, yet we are able to make financing available to underserved. And that is where the job market is going to be created. It's not me or you sitting and working in the bigger city. It's tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities where people are not just working, they're assets owner. And that is, I think, a big success that the whole industry is bringing to from an EV perspective.
Excellent, excellent. And I think especially you're talking about the e-rickshaw. But if you look at the other vehicles, other e-vehicles, then how do you see the challenges in financing?
So when we look at e-rickshaws, one segment I've taken apart. Let me come to bigger city. Today you have the likes of e-commerce, last mile mobility, mid mile, first mile, everywhere. And it is also important to see how financing organizations have customized their solutioning. 2 years back, we were only giving loan because e-rickshaw customer was happy with loan. When we forayed into two-wheeler, into bigger city as last mile mobility, we realized a rider who's working with maybe a Zomato or urban company does not want to own the vehicle because he isn't very certain as to how long will he be driving that particular vehicle. That brought in a new financial product, which is lease or rent to own, or the whole lot of fleets which are there today. So today, when we talk about fleet operator, I think few years back, only thing that we used to talk about is logistics company, truck companies. That was a word, and there was an image which was associated with those logistics. Is एक trucker का company होगा, एक दुकान में बैठे होंगे, and all those kind of things. Today, when you look at fleet operators, there are so many entrepreneurs, startups which are coming into fleet, and that again speaks to how EVs in big cities are contributing to job, to employment, because we are making vehicle accessible. This guy is earning, let us say, 800 per day or 1,000 per day, and he has to pay a rental as little as 100, It makes it such a good sense for him. Come to a city, get a vehicle on rent, and then you earn. And maybe whenever these are like rent to own, whenever he feels comfortable that yes, he has understood the dynamics and this is the job he would like to work with or continue with, he owns the vehicle. So it is all about unique financing solutioning, be it smaller city, bigger city, and the emergence of new businesses. The way we talk about the complete fleet operator, and not just that, like Revfin, we have come up with a setup which is, and sorry, I'm speaking only of Revfin because that's the example comes at the top of my mind. I'm sure there would be many such things. We have set up a center which we call as Revshala. And that is where we are refurbishing the vehicles. So vehicles, when, for example, someone is running those on rent and they say, now I don't want to run this vehicle anymore, they give it back to the fleet operator. We take it to our center, we refurbish it, and post refurbishment, it is sold again. It is given on rent again. So this is one refurbishment center in Delhi. But I am sure across the country, there are many, many refurbishment centers which are there, which are adding to jobs, which are adding to employment, which are adding to livelihoods of people going up, and overall social empowerment.
Karan, if also I would like to bring in you in the discussion. So as a investment firm, this is very important, the sustainability of the project. Government is also putting a lot of effort, how they can promote the projects, how they can give the incentive, some subsidy part. I think yesterday I was going through a news that government, maybe it is expected, I don't know it is a confirm or not, government may invest around 10,900 crore something for the subsidy, kind of subsidy to incentivize the projects. How do you see the EV infrastructure, EV market, and EV industry with the growth opportunities in this industry and also the jobs?
Thanks, Ramesh, for that question. So, the amazing thing is that if we looked at 2018, 2019, and you asked any venture capitalist if he was looking at EVs, they probably would have said, "What is that?" We've been looking at this since 2019, 20, and we've had conviction in the sector only because of the fact that the government was pushing for very quick adoption of electric vehicles. I think the example that I like to give people is that India has always been leapfrogging leapfrogging technology. So we've moved from ICE to EV very quickly, where the rest of the world has actually moved from ICE to hybrid and now EV. So that has been driven largely because of the FAME subsidy. So we had FAME 1, which is about 700 odd crores. We had FAME 2, which is about 12,000 crores. And I just want to correct you over there. The government has actually come out with this new subsidy plan called the e-Drive plan, which is going to be about 25,000 crores to increase adoption of commercial vehicle fleets and charging infrastructure. So the government's plan has always been very targeted to spur on the initial demand and offtake. And I think that is there. Today, we're at a level where 6% of all vehicles on the road are electric vehicles. That number was 0.5% just 3 years ago. One in every three commercial vehicles sold today is an EV, and I'm talking about light commercial vehicles. One in every two motorcycle or scooter, to be more precise, is an electric scooter. So we're seeing demand offtake really happen. People are now like understanding the benefits of owning an EV, not just from an environmental standpoint, but also from a cost of running standpoint. So incentives are there. I'm very happy with the government's e-Drive plan. I think it's really good. I think the one thing that I would like to see a little bit more, if my feedback matters at all, is more demand incentives. Maybe a reduction in GST for electric vehicles, and incentivizing consumers without subsidies to increase their offtake or to at least think more about buying electric vehicles. And I think this is now more required on the four-wheeler side rather than the two-wheeler side.
Coming back to you, Sumit, if you look at the numbers, 2 lakh, do you think the 2 lakh is very big number when we are projecting for the 2030? Means it has time, it has 6 years. Second question is that what the skills do you think that would be in demand for the EV industry? And third, my question is here that I think these skills are not readily available currently with the organizations. So they need to work on skilling part, upskilling part. They need to, make ready their existing workforce for this to meet this demand. What is your take on this?
No, you're right, actually, whether we talk about 2 lakh people to be required by 2030, vis-a-vis the 50 million jobs that we're expecting by 2030 similar time, there's a kind of mismatch to that. Obviously, we're expecting, much more employment and, and much more skilled people to do those kind of, employment generation. Also, with the kind of ELI schemes that have currently been announced and should be launched soon, that would also open doors for a lot of jobs in the sector, and specifically when we talk about the fresh jobs that's going to get added. And our estimate is that put together with just from the manufacturing side, including the EV, the skill deficit is expected to be anything between 32 million, which currently exists, will go up to about 45 million skilled people required to take up those jobs, including the EV side of it as well, right? But having said that, yes, there is a skill gap today. I mean, if I were to look at from the jobs point of view, at any given time, you would find that there are about 25,000 openings which are available from the sector. And this is both I'm talking about indirect jobs as well, because you do require mechanics, you do require salespeople, you do require people from different other aspects as well related to EV. Having said that, also we're talking about the EV component as well, because that's another element which again got some financial thrust. Talking about another 500, crores that has got infused from the government side, specifically for the EV component. So if I were to look all that, it could definitely be much, much more than 2 lakh people that are required. Now, yes, as I said, that there is a skill deficit at this point of time, and how organizations are creating that skill set or catering to those kind of jobs, and how also they are preparing themselves for future as well. So the two elements here is, one is, as people they are kind of resorting to creating the talent by you know doing inducting more apprentices and interns into this particular area. Now technology is new. Obviously our current infrastructure of the training institutes is not kind of equipped with those curriculums, so whatever people they have gone through the basic training are upskilled by the organizations, by these employers, by these industry players at their own premise under apprenticeship and internship, and that's how they are building the capability. But while they're doing that part of it, we've also seen that how organizations are also reskilling and upgrading the skill sets of their existing workforce to cater to that demand which exists currently, and also how are they creating a pool to cater to their future requirements. One of the another angle to this is that there's something called as degree apprenticeship that we have been working on. Now, the phenomena is more to do with collaborating the industry with academia for executing it. So, how the courses are getting curated with the industry players, and these are both high for the high order skill sets as well as a low order skill set. And the lowest order that we're talking about is nothing but a mechanical job, which is more on the technician, sorry, not mechanics, I would say that, but a technician would be better word to use for an EV, that for the repairs, and also to look at from the manufacturing assembly lines. But if I were to look at from a high order skill set, which largely to do with the innovation and R&D, so those programs are being curated with curriculums being, been designed to see how you look at innovation in this particular area, so that we can come up with more efficient products in this area, in this segment. So I think these are some of the practices which we are witnessing in the industry. One of a very important factor is that we have seen the requirement of women for the EV segment, and that's something which we are seeing consistently for last 1 year now, where the organization are saying that, listen, we need people, we need skilled people. And skill today is, I would say, not it's kind of a gender agnostic. So they said that, listen, we need skilled people. So even if we get women there, how the women get upskilled at the industry premise, and then they are getting inducted. And you would realize that there are many OEMs today which have the factories and the plants which are operated today by women folk, and they are operating on the job roles which have predominantly or historically been run by the by male. So one thing that we've seen is that the female participation in this particular segment is kind of going up, and that's a very heartening thing to see.
Karan, if you see right now, a lot of technological advancements are also going on. We are talking about the battery technology. We are talking about solid state batteries. We are talking about some driving, autonomous driving. So a lot of things are there. How do you see these technologies are going to shape the industry in next 4 5 years?
Yeah, no, that's a really that's an excellent question, to be honest. And again, I would like to answer that with an analogy of what we saw in the early 90s till the 2000s with computers. We saw processing speeds exponentially increase year by year. And I think that's the technology curve that we're going to see with electric vehicles over the next 5 10 years, is we're going to see vehicles getting smarter, more features, essentially becoming as smart as your cell phone. Vehicles will essentially pretty much become like cell phones, right? Where they will know they'll know driver behavior. There'll be so much of data that's captured on the vehicle, plus the owner, which can be used to actually build more services on top of. Um, so the technological like advantage, the technological like advancements are actually going to be quite steep. I definitely think battery technologies is one to watch out for, especially on the lithium ion efficiency side. I do believe that the what we saw, like also in terms of costs, like again driving, like also going back to my previous like analogy with desktops, the cost of processing came down significantly like over that decade. We will see the cost of batteries actually come down significantly like over the next decade, and at the same time we will see the energy density of these batteries increase exponentially like as well. So issues which have uh, which have historically been there in terms of range anxiety, charging, fast charging, will it actually work, will the battery life degrade, those things are being solved for, and I think those things are to be uh, should be watched out for. At the same
So,
time, I'm seeing a lot of advancements on motor and drivetrain technologies. So, moving like away from rare metals or from rare mineral motors to newer age like SRM sort of motors and bringing those price points down. I think that'll be that'll be a phenomenal boost in terms of just the technology and the ability of those vehicles to operate.
and Monica, if I come to you with the same question, so technology and as a financial institutions, product is very important for you. So these technologies are also these technologies of the product with the electric vehicle products. So how do you see it is going to evolve the EV market and also the product as well, and how it is going to smooth the financing part?
See, when we talk about evolution, it happens in any industry. Take a mobile from a feature to smart and it goes on. And I think same is the journey that EV will go through. And I think Karan can vouch for it. When we started, getting a fund from anyone was so difficult because no one knew what is a. Everyone saw only the risk associated with EV. They did not see what is the benefit and how will it actually in long term turn out to be. So today, when we look at EV, whether the technology is lithium ion or it moves to hydrogen or whatever it is, does not matter. What matters is sustainable mobility is going to be on rise. I do not think we need to be worrying too much about which technology, what technology. As long as the world is moving towards sustainable mobility, the jobs will be created in sustainable mobility. And when we talk about Mr. Gadkari in the SIAM talking about it few 3 days back that there'll be 5 crores job or whatever number of job, we have to look at when jobs get created, it will benefit overall as a country. There will be social empowerment. There will be, and when I talk about women, I think Sumit talked about it, and I'm sure we all know Ola factory boasts of 100% women employee there. And we have to understand this industry is more easy is a wrong word, but it's not a very heavy industry from a manufacturing also. So it becomes easier for women to be there. It becomes easier for women to be there in the production part of it. Even driving vehicles, 25% of our customers are women customers. So we would see a lot of influx of women coming into this industry and the associated jobs with it. For example, when we talk about, Karan was talking about tracking, we track millions and millions of data every day because every vehicle has IoT. So there are enough number of employments which come with just tracking the data. Enough employments would come with just making sure that vehicle different components are being added up in the manufacturing unit. So overall job is going to see an uprise irrespective of technology because sustainable mobility is going to be here, and each of these technologies are not going to be drastically different that one would need to really unlearn a lot of it and learn. I'm sure it's progressive, it's happening in a progressive manner. So same set of people will be trained, retrained to pick up a new technology, pick up a new way of working, and that is where we would see uprise in employment, is my take on this.
Any advancement in the technology that brings also a lot of employment. So coming to Sumit, if you look at the technology part, so a lot of technologies I already talked about. How do you see, but still there is a skills gap. There's also a report, and according to this report, only 51%, something 52% people are only readily employable, and around 48.75% they need training, they need to be make ready for the employment. How your apprentice program, this TeamLease apprentice program help? to assess the skill gap and to make them ready for the employability.
So just to add one more thing, what you said, while you were talking to Monica, that technology brings in a lot of, jobs. But let me tell you one thing, technology environments also brings in a lot of anxiety among the workforce as well. So I think what we need to really take it is that one needs to be patient and keep investing in oneself to upgrade your skill set to remain employable. Having said that, coming to your point, that considering that the employability factor is a huge concern, which kind of creates a skill gap. So it's like a double whammy for us right now, because the supply is scarce. The whatever people available have or people entering into the labor market have an employability factor, and on the other hand, we're seeing that there's a growth in the job. So the pool is increasing. I mean, so the jobs are increasing. The jobs are increasing, but the gap is only widening because of the lack of supply chain right now. So when we say that how is apprenticeships or degree apprenticeships help of the individuals or people to build their own capability, is because they are primarily learning it by doing it. That whole job in the real work environment. So the skills, we need to be careful on this front, that skills cannot be taught. Skills have to be acquired, and skills can't be acquired in a controlled classroom environment. It has to be more in a real work environment, by doing your real, by dirtying your hands, kind of a thing. Because most important factor actually for any organization to look at is your cognitive skills. Now, cognitive skills are something that we're talking about more on your decision making, critical thinking, solution mindset. Now, these are very heavyweight terms, which usually have been think that it's been considered only by the CEOs or by the senior management. But let me tell you one thing. For even a person like a factory worker, when there's let's say today he's read or he studied how a factory operates and how to handle the maintenance part, how to handle the breakdowns. But when the breakdown actually happens, and how swiftly he has to work and do those set of activities which are required, the kind of mental presence that is required, one can only acquire that once you're doing that particular work. So that's when I say that a person has to make a decision. He has to make few choices. He has to think. He has to have a solution mindset to ensure how does he control the situation at that point of time. So I think those are the skill sets which are very, very essential that make anybody employable and in any job role. Well, yes, you do need technical, knowledge as well. And that, of course, there's more of a conceptual knowledge, which definitely happens through a classroom or in a more theoretical manner. But it's more blended that we're talking about. It's a blend of theory and on the job. But the focus is more on the job learning, so that you are kind of doing this whole experiential learning for you to build your technical as well as your cognitive skill set, which makes you employable. And at the same time, how organizations today are also now realizing this whole benefit of apprenticeships, and how they also leveraging to create a productive workforce for their organization.
Great. So I would like to know very quickly that I think we have been trying to touch upon the important points. Anything else which is important, and how to see the growth, economic growth of the country, and how to see the contribution of financing of electric vehicles? How do you see it's a contribution? So quickly, if you can share your thoughts.
I'll come to that, but before that, a quick one onto what Sumit talked about. When we talk about jobs, years back when I was growing up, MBAs were then picking up. Not many people wanted to do MBA. It was only either MBBS or engineering. When people saw that MBAs are successful, it became a preferred course. Same is with EVs. When people would see there are a lot of EV opportunities, there are jobs, people automatically would start learning. It is all about what you see. When you see success around, you start embracing it. So my driver's son, he's a technician, एक normal ICE vehicle का है. So I was telling him, we have Revshala, why don't you work here? नहीं दीदी, मुझको EV में नहीं जाना, पता नहीं कैसा होता है, क्या होता है, all of those things. So he's so apprehensive, but I'm sure a few years or few months later, when he would see too many service centers and he would feel he is not skilled himself, he automatically would learn. So it's all about what you see is picking up, what you see is rewarding, and then you learn it yourself. That's it from Sumit's point. And the second one on your contribution, yes, of course, when we have 5 crore jobs will be there, and when they will save more For example, we have some data that we use. When you are running a two-wheeler, which is ICE, maybe you spend 2 rupees per kilometer. When it is EV, you are maybe just spending 20 paisa. So when you will save 1 rupee 80 paisa per kilometer, of course your saving is going to be increased, isn't it? So once the saving is going to be increased, everyone is going to save more. There is going to be an economic empowerment with everyone. And that would lead to certainly empowerment of the country.
Karan,
So,
any other quick comments?
Like I'm actually gonna just like switch over like a little bit to what Sumit and Monica said. I think it's very interesting times. Definitely in the sector, we are seeing a push. Not so much like a push like anymore, but now more like a pull. Uh, the 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 early trends that Monica was talking about are very visible today, and I think we will definitely be seeing a lot of job creation happening in this sector. Not just maybe not just indirect EVs, but ancillaries and service, the entire service ecosystem like around it too, whether it's financing, parts, spares, or components, etc. Plus some very interesting business models that I've been speaking to like over the last few months in addressing the pain points on adoption as well. So a lot of jobs, and I think what I really love to see today is the entrepreneurial spirit and the people, like at least like amongst the young working population, their need and want to sort of have ownership and do more. So I feel that might also change the workplace a little bit going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
This industry,
interesting
EV
times.
industry, is booming up, and we can see a lot of new jobs are already there, and we can visualize some of the new jobs that are coming into the EV industry. Thank you so much, Sumit, Monika, and Karan, for joining the conversation and sharing your wonderful
Thank you.
thoughts. Thank you so much.
thank you
Thank you
Thank
so
so
you.
very
much.
much, Ramesh.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Sumit, and
everybody.
thanks, Karan. Pleasure meeting.